Carrie Grant, thank you for joining us here in Eagan, Minnesota at the WHCC World Headquarters. We're glad to see your smiling face here with us today. Why don't you just take a couple seconds and introduce yourself to the listening audience and tell us who you are, where you're from, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, it's awesome to be here, and I think it's been enlightening walking around the facility and seeing how everything is made, and I think I'm in Minnesota at the right time of year.
Yes, you are.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Right, you wouldn't want to be here in January. You wouldn't enjoy it at all.
Or August. So I am Carrie Grant. I run a studio based out of Boise, Idaho, and I've been in business in Boise for just about 3 years, focusing mainly so far on high school seniors, families, some studio fine artwork, and I'm working on getting back into more of the equestrian realm.
Got it. And since this is going to be a topic, what has recently grabbed some of your attention and taken off with it in the left-hand direction?
Oh my God, so many shiny objects. What do you mean? From my business perspective?
Well, the association that you may be getting more involved with.
Right. So yes, I have recently joined the board of directors for Professional Photographers of Idaho.
Got it. And you are also in charge of?
Convention.
Yes.
Next year. Lots of time to plan.
Right.
Yes.
So just to bring everybody kind of up to speed. So I have had the honor of knowing and working with and talking to Carrie for the last 3-ish years. I can remember very clearly being at a conference in Nashville in my hotel room and having the first call with you.
Oh, really?
Yep. And I can remember you very specifically saying, I want to keep my product offering simple. I have a style that I want to be unique to me. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overthink this. I want to be simple. And you've stuck with that all the way through. Now, I think in the interest of what we're going to talk about today, what makes you interesting to me, and I think it will make you interesting to other people, is that you are very much in the thick of growing the business.
Yep.
And trying to figure out how to get people in the door while being pulled by this shiny object and this shiny object, and what's that squirrel over there, and all the things, and the horses, and all the things. Mom of 2, husband starting a new business. Like you have
Husband's
a lot.
actually starting 3 new businesses, but yeah.
Great. 3.
It clearly runs in the family.
Yeah, we're going to make that better. So I think that, where people can relate to you is that, you're not by yourself in this. You're not able to just stop what you're doing and go and do exactly what everybody tells you to do, which is a lot easier said than done.
Right.
So, and you're in the throes of that right now.
I am, and I feel like to a certain degree, I'm kind of going through a midlife crisis, finding my own identity.
Okay. Say more.
Figuring out who I am as a photographer, I think, has a lot to do with figuring out just who I want to be in the world.
That's awesome. We're just going to go deep here right
here
away.
We go. Jet inspired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's again, shiny objects everywhere, right? It's how many directions I can go in, but it's making sure that what I do matters and has impact. And a lot of that, I think, for me, is working with high school seniors, specifically high school senior girls. I have found that most of the clients I get are the girls that are they're not necessarily like the cool girls or the popular girls. They are the girls that are a little more alternative. They are more, artistic, and they're very unique, and they want a unique session. And for me, whether or not, what we actually do through the session, as far as the images that result in it, yes, we want to try to make those unique. But for me, it's also about the experience for them and boosting their confidence and making sure that, the images are just kind of icing on the cake, but that they feel amazing and confident, and it's a really unique experience for them. So I think I want to make sure that I'm providing that.
Yep.
while at the same time satisfying my desire to make pretty pictures. Trying to get more into the fine art, which is one of the reasons I'm in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
And getting back into the equestrian stuff.
Right. And we'll discuss that drive as well. So before we move on, do you feel that being able to connect with these young women and giving them the experience and working with a, quote unquote, maybe alternative, style or artist, is that something that's in your past?
I certainly would not say that I was like one of the popular girls in high school.
Okay.
I was the horsey girl.
The horsey girl. And you're still the horsey girl.
I'm still the horsey girl, 30 years later. I was the horsey girl. I actually was into photography even back in high school. I was the photo editor for the yearbook. So I was, kind of always had my camera around, and I was on student council.
I can see that. Carrie Grant, the person who cannot say no.
I know. Oh, God. So, I think to a certain degree.
It's as you connect with a certain personality, I'm assuming.
I absolutely connect with a certain personality, and I think that, in my previous life, my degrees are in psychology. So I love connecting with people. Yep. And specifically girls that are struggling in that. I mean, high school sucks. Yeah. Most high school girls do not have a pleasant experience. So
yeah, and I think you and I are about the same age, and I can't imagine being in high school now with social media and the demands and pressures that come from that. I can't imagine. Right. So, and I'm sure knowing you the way that I do, and listening to you and having countless conversations over the last 3 years. You want to do your absolute best for them, which you want to do for every aspect of your life, which brings in all the shiny things that, you're going all the different directions and you love all of it. So you want to do all of it. But how is another question. How do you narrow that field? How do you focus on the things that are the most important to your life in front of you right now?
I don't. That's my problem. One of your quotes is actually ringing in my head right now, is 60% of 10 things done is 0 things done.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And that comes from a man much wiser than I am. And I hear that in my head a lot. I'm very much a focused person. I want to start something. I want to finish it. I want to be able to check it off my list. I have been known to actually write something down just to cross it off. And my mother does that same thing as well. And it's a feeling of accomplishment. Right. But I think that it's really cool that you chose this platform, even though I drug you into the room today to do this kicking and screaming, of how you chose to say that you feel like this is much more than just a photography thing right now, that you're trying to figure out your own identity.
Probably, yeah. I think they're linked for sure.
Absolutely. But that's the first time you've said that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, pretty cool. So as you are thinking about that, Carrie, I mean, what is it that within photography and within the path that you're trying to create, how will that help you identify with who Carrie Grant is now after moving from a different country, after starting a studio, after, relocating family, kids, all the things? Like, how does that relate?
Dang, we are going deep. That's a very difficult question for me to answer. I mean, I think a lot of cliches are popping into my head right now. Like, I want what I do to matter and, all of that kind of stuff, which I just feels a little hollow. Yep.
I tried this once. I'll catch myself in conversations, here at the lab or with photographers or with my friends' family, where I'll start a conversation or I'll start a statement with "I think" or "I might." Try to take that out once and just say, "I want this," or "I am this." Eliminate the I'm not really sure. Which direction should I go here? Am I solid enough in this to really make a bold statement? And just speaking for myself, I have said that. You're like, nope, that's not right. I believe this. So try that once. Take the think or the might out and just say like where you're at.
Okay. I want my photography to be impactful, and that's a combination of the experience of and the end product. And I want to be able to maintain a lifestyle where I can still be there for my kids, ride my horse, do the things that I love doing while still maintaining a business. So figuring out that balance and how to make the most impact while not giving up the things that I have. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And you were on the webinar last week, and I again called on you and made you talk. And that's exactly what we were discussing, with several people in different parts of the country, different places in their business. And I really think, no, I'm going to take that out. I don't think. I know that the last 18 to 24 months have changed all of us.
For sure.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at, where you're listening from today. Doesn't matter. You are different today than you were before COVID happened.
Absolutely.
I would say that some things are for the better. Some things are definitely not for the better. I think that we have all started to embrace things that we all took for granted before. Professional photography is stronger than we've seen it for years,
right?
Which is awesome. I think it means a renewed faith in family, in friends, in things that were taken away, quote unquote, that you couldn't do. You couldn't, you weren't supposed to give hugs. You weren't supposed to sit in the same room with your family. I missed the first family Christmas that I had ever missed in 47 years. So all those things are impacting where we're at right now. And I believe, I'm going to take think out, I almost said it, I believe that we're all reorganizing.
Yeah, and I think it's my reorganizing, it's almost coming from two directions, because I think, yes, it's all of those things. It's having gone through COVID, but I mean, we haven't really talked about this, but I opened my studio right before COVID hit. So, and I had moved from a different country, and I was already starting to reorganize, and then COVID hit, and it's like,
yeah.
So I feel like, I don't even know if it's like balls in the air. I think the balls have just been thrown every which direction. And I mentioned this on the webinar the other day, is that, I used to be a very type A, structured checklist kind of a person. And I don't know where that person has gone.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If you were going to organize me, you could probably do it in a heartbeat.
So that is an interesting comment, because I think I may have mentioned this to you on the phone the other day, is one of the insights I've had, and I don't remember where it came from, but if I were running somebody else's business, I would probably be doing a hell of a lot better job than running my own business, because there's something that I'm struggling with the because marketing is by far my weakness. I struggle to self-promote. I struggle to put myself out there and to get on screen, get on podcasts. I just don't like being in the spotlight.
Right.
And
would you assume then that is probably the case with a lot of creatives, though?
Probably.
Okay. I'm the same way. But
I see a lot of them who are very good at it, and I probably am comparing myself to those who are very good at it.
Right. But if you were going to sit down and have a conversation with somebody that you look at and say, oh, they're really good at this, there may or may not be truths that will come out of that conversation that you would have never guessed before.
Probably.
Grass is always greener.
For sure.
And speaking for, myself, and I think that it is this way within the industry a lot, is you hand any one of us a camera and you have an alter ego. that appears. You have somebody who has the confidence that can control a room, who can run a wedding, who can bring out things in a person that they potentially didn't even know were there. And then you set that camera down and we all kind of sit back again,
It's like, doesn't Beyonce do that?
I don't know.
I think she's got, I want to say it's Sasha Fierce or something like that, but she has like an alter ego that when she's on, because she's an introvert and she's very quiet, but not when she's on stage.
Right. So do you think, Carrie, and I'm just going to ask hard questions here.
Go for it.
Do you think it's a lack of confidence?
Probably.
Okay.
It's probably a lack of confidence. It's a lack of knowledge. I'm very much the type where I'm a recovering perfectionist, where if I can't do it 100% perfectly, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
And I get stuck in, as you've pointed out, analysis paralysis. I want to take every class on every aspect of something before I'll tackle it. So yeah, it's probably a fear of failure.
Okay.
So I try to information
So we just don't
gather.
start.
So we just don't start. Well, or we start, but we stop.
Or we pause.
Yeah, we don't finish.
Yeah. So then the balls that you were talking about, they were in the air. We just
I kind of threw them over my back shoulder.
we just kind of throw them off or let them fall and
yeah.
kick them out of the way and pretend that they're not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that that's outside of the realm of thought for most small business owners. And I think that you are like many artists who are very self-critical. One part of my career here at White House is I get to do fun things and travel around and help people redesign spaces. And one of the hardest things for people to do is to pick out their own work. Why do you suppose that is?
Yeah, we're very critical of ourselves.
Yep. Where, you hand that off to somebody and it's easy for me to go, oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. Why aren't you
like our
using this
children.
one? Well, it's because I looked at it for a week and I decided I didn't like this about it. Like, okay, so the amount of criticism we bring on ourselves, I think, has a big piece of where you're at right now. I think you are hard on yourself. You like to spread yourself around to help as many people as possible. And if we're not going to do that all to absolute perfection, then the ball goes boom,
Absolutely.
and then we don't finish that and we go on to find something new. So one thing that you said at lunch when we were talking, we were talking about a really cool new group that's coming together with one of our friends. And I said, Carrie, I think that would be great, to push you a little bit out of your comfort. And you said something that was very, very intelligent. And I think that you should pay attention to it and think about it, on your flight home, is you said, yes, but I think that there are areas where I would be better spent to push myself out of my comfort zone.
Right.
So
I'm trying to focus. I just have a hard time doing it.
yes. Yeah. Well, I think that everybody does at some level. But the fact that you are recognizing it, like when you called me or you sent me a text about, PPI, you're like, I'm really sorry, but I did this. I did kind of sit back in my chair and go, oh boy, here we go.
Put your head in your hands. Oh, what is she doing?
Yeah, but we all learn from our experiences. You moved from South Africa, built a house, new community, met a lovely photographer in Boise, ended up leasing her space. You have a beautiful studio. You have great work. It's just that final, I don't know what the percentage would be, 30% of like pulling it all together. Yeah, putting it all together. And being able to know your processes from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective, designing the studio to work, for you effectively. And I think another thing is taking time to be at the space and working within it and working towards that goal that you have at the studio.
Oh, you mean actually working in my studio instead of sitting at my desk at home and getting distracted by a million different things?
Yes, exactly. Your quiet time is going out and riding your horse. Yeah. That's your thought time, and you probably cover a lot of ground when you're riding. I would guess, within your
And
head.
driving back and forth.
And driving back and forth. I think that could be time that could be very well spent, not to replace it, but if you did space or take time at your studio to work there.
Yeah.
No laundry, no kids. You could take your dog with you, but it just helps. It allows you to sit and process and to be quiet. Evening, grab a glass of wine.
Right.
Enjoy the space. Think about what could be. Make that plan. It's also important, and we've talked about this before too, where maybe if you're not booked, if you don't have a lot of sessions coming up, depending on the place you're at in the country right now, you may be really busy, you may be really quiet, whatever that may be. It really helps to keep your creative juices moving.
Right.
Whether that's, bringing in some girlfriends and just photographing them, doing some a fun night, just get the camera in your hand.
Yeah.
Get in touch with that personality of holding on to that and creating, because I guarantee you that makes you feel good or you wouldn't do it.
Well, and I'm starting more of that again now. I had taken the equestrian out of my portfolio for some stupid reason, because that is, I'm so passionate about horses, and I even just walking through White House, you see pictures of horses coming off. And I'm like,
all of a sudden I lose
gorgeous.
Carrie and horse.
So, it's kind of a no duh that I should bring that back in. So what I'm starting to, because I'm rebuilding that portfolio and because I don't have an equestrian name at all in the States, that's primarily what I did in South Africa, was equestrian stuff. So I have a portfolio, but not of local stuff. So I am, at this point, doing portfolio building all over again with equestrian sessions. So trying to find people who are, and trainers, instructors, coaches who are well known in the Boise area to photograph for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and again, it's just getting out and shooting.
Yeah, totally.
And getting back into the...
So if we were going to work towards a couple things or three things, if you were going to put them on the recording today as a matter of... documentation, yes, exactly, of committing to something, what would those three things be?
So...
Everybody listening, did you hear that eye roll?
Probably. So, and here's where my brain goes, is like, I've got 30 things that I want to do.
Okay.
But that doesn't work.
Okay, well, picture a funnel, Carrie.
Yeah.
You drop those 30 things in at the top of the funnel. What actually makes it through and kicks out the bottom? Because I bet you if you wrote every single one of those things down and we started to categorize them, it would be easy for you to be like, okay, well, this really ties in with this, so this becomes this becomes this.
The
this one
larger
really
umbrella.
isn't important. And that would probably be a really good task for you. But of course, we're not going to do that and keep everybody waiting today.
Yeah.
But what would those, your top things? It doesn't have to be three, but what immediately comes to mind?
Well, marketing. So, and I think that there's a balance between that. Marketing is huge. You and I have talked about this before. That's huge.
Yep. It's as big as the state.
Right. So, to get it specific enough that it's actionable, probably hosting at least 2 to 3 times a week, which I think I started out as a goal at the beginning of the year, and we're in June. Haven't done it. So, yeah, but being more consistent with social media and just starting and not necessarily making sure everything is perfect and that it's, everything is brand colors and the right font, and just post.
Right. Yep.
So that, I think, is a huge one.
Yep.
I think I am I'm waiting for Matt to kick me under the table.
You're too far away.
I'm redoing my website, kind of. So it's a long story, but it's more back-end stuff. But it also gives the opportunity to bring the equestrian portfolio back online and to improve my SEO and that sort of a thing. So we're trying to, with my web designer, we're trying to make it more user-friendly for me so I can update it.
Yeah,
it's a WordPress site, and I hate it. I love what my site looks like. I hate the back end. I hate trying to add images, move things around. So she's going to transfer it across. So that's a priority for me.
What about
guess.
what about if we take a step aside from business? What's a personal?
Oh.
You brought it up.
Yeah. Structure. So, and I think that goes for both personally and professional, but getting a structure, and again, you and I have talked about this, but knowing, okay, I'm in my studio from this time to that time, and then I'm going to go pick up the kids to, whatever. I'm at the barn from this time to that time. I'm going to walk the dog, just really scheduling out my week while still keeping some level of flexibility, because that's why many of us are self-employed, so that we're able to pivot if we need to, but to at least have an outline that I adhere to, 80 to 90% of the time. Yeah.
So those three things,
yeah,
you could accomplish very quickly and very efficiently. It's just a matter of doing it.
Yep.
You're not, one of those things wasn't, I want to do a build out in my studio and I don't have $250,000 to do it.
Right.
That's harder. I am,
I do want to do that too, though.
Sure, most people listening want to do
right.
that. But if you look at those three things, Carrie, what could be done immediately to do that? I mean, you literally, in the hotel tonight, you could go through and you could lay out your week.
Totally.
And you could keep X amount of hours per day or per week if you don't want to really box yourself in for that freedom, creative, I just don't feel like doing this today, or I really do feel like doing this today. It's the structure.
Right.
And then once you've actually created it, then it's completely in your court to follow that structure. I'm glad you said that, because that is the one thing that I think will help you the most is to build structure, to build a schedule around what you need to do. We're all more efficient when we know we only have so much time to do it. If you've got all day long to do something, chances are you're not going to do it.
Right.
But I've also heard recently, if you have 37 things to do on a Tuesday, and Wednesday, if you have decided not to do anything on Tuesday, you still have 37 things to do. We get to choose.
Right.
And you get to choose, in your studio. But ultimately, I don't think that path is making you happy, as a business owner. I think you want to like blow the lid off this thing.
I do. I really do. And this is, again, part of my internal struggle, is trying to figure out what are those hurdles that there's clearly some deeper stuff going on in my brain. Yeah. Because this isn't like rocket science, right? Like, I should be able to sit down and schedule a week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
And guess what you're going to do before you get back home? Before
you
sit
down and schedule.
Yeah. Before you walk off of the airplane, you're going to have that schedule done.
Right.
It's just and this makes me sound kind of like a hard nose to anybody that hasn't met me before, and I'm truly not that way. But that's what, sometimes you just need somebody behind you to give you that little push.
For sure.
And just say, you're accountable to me now, and this is what you need to do. So with your social media, you have kids. Kids are far better at that than we are.
Oh, my daughter, my 12-year-old is constant.
I just recently had a conversation with a good friend of White House and mine, and we funneled it down to within her marketing to figure out where the growth in this one segment of her business came from. And it was completely from her Instagram stories and reels. Like, do more of that.
Right.
Get that out further. Get it across all your product lines. And she's having somebody else do it for her. She's like, it's the best. I just give it out, and they just, and it's growing. So Gary Hughes is a very smart man, and he does say social media is rented space. So you don't have control over that. If somebody happened to hack your account or you got blocked, whatever. But while that is available to you, use it. It's free. Yep. Great advertising. Utilize one of your kids, honestly, to start doing things, or to help you keep on a schedule, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
And there's different ways that you can do that. I'm certainly not a master of that, but I know that there are ways that you can pre-schedule and keep yourself on task very quickly.
I mean, that's the thing is the infrastructure is there. And I think it has become so easy with Facebook and Instagram to schedule, to sit down and, you know, block my time, do at least, you know, a week at a time of posting and just schedule it out and forget about it.
And I think that you would be blown away, and we'll just kind of say this in closing here, at how different you personally would feel if you got on top of a few of these things a little bit more in the business.
Yeah.
If you were like, guess what I did? I scheduled, I stuck to it. I'm day one of sticking to my schedule. I'm day two of sticking to my schedule. You don't have to look at the whole year and go, oh my gosh, I can't decide that. No. So I'll share a personal thing with me. And this was for people who are listening, and you'll probably have the same feeling here, but so I spent a lot of time in Braddock, Pennsylvania, volunteering. And I think it was after my first trip or second trip out, I was on my way back into Minneapolis, and I saw some friends of mine sitting outside at a little patio when I was driving through Northeast. And they waved at me, and I pulled around, and I stopped and was chit-chatting a little bit. And one of them looked at me, and she said, you're going to move out there, aren't you? And I said, you know, I don't know. Like, I might. And she's like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you can't come back. And as simple as that sounds, I don't think that a lot of us give ourselves permission to not fail, but to realize that maybe something we've done doesn't work anymore, or it worked for that time, but it's not working now. Just because you're committing to something schedule-wise, business-wise, personal-wise, doesn't mean that it's a permanent fixture and you can never get rid of it. Right. It's not a tattoo, you know. So give yourself that freedom. Try it. Adjust the schedule. Work on social media. If it's not working for you, maybe it's not your personality. Maybe that doesn't fit your business style. Like whatever that is, give yourself the freedom to change and to maneuver and to find your path.
Right.
Because I know your desire with your business is to be very specific. Let your marketing, let your structure, let your personality, let all that funnel into what feels right for that. Because once you find that connection and that direction, you will have nothing but success, because it'll just be the way it's supposed to be. And you'll never look at it and go, I hope this works, because in your heart, you'll just know it.
Right.
You'll just get it. It'll just be like, yep, that's it. That's what I'm doing. So.
Amen.
Exactly. So in closing here, Carrie, thanks for being with us today. It's always fun to hang out with you and to see how you're growing in your business and personal and all the things that you have going on. We will look forward to updates along the way, as per the usual, I should say. And thanks for coming to hang out with us at White House.
Thanks
we
for
really
having
enjoyed
me.
it. So let's go do something fun out in the lab.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.